David Brooke is from inbounds.com, and we are just going to have a very casual chat, David, about your business, your journey, and so on. So can you tell us a little bit about your good self, your business?
Certainly. Firstly, a pleasure to meet all you guys. Thanks for having us here. Inbounds.com is an amazing company that I love very much. Essentially, we are focused on owned and operated properties. We operate websites in all major verticals: insurance, home improvement, legal, and anywhere else we see opportunity. We're highly involved in the mass tort side of things. We have a call center as well, and we're focused on generating real-time data, whether it's a phone call, whether it's a data lead. And we have a strong belief in not brokering, but originating everything that we can.
Yeah. And so tell us about your journey then. How did this whole thing start?
My journey was crazy. I was doing something completely different years ago, and I was buying a lot of leads. I was buying a lot of data. I was having our team, at this time it was in real estate, I was having the team dial the leads, but we couldn't find consistency. We couldn't find compliance. We couldn't find consistency. We're constantly running into problems. At the same time, my partners worked on different sides of the industry, be it data management or data brokerage or phone call brokerage, and we all had this problem. We couldn't find a good campaign. We couldn't find something that worked. So we just decided to head out and build our own campaigns from the bottom, run the traffic, find the advertisers, and do it all from A to Z. And that's what we did.
So you had some sleepless nights to start with then. How did it all start? Was it an idea? Is there partners in the business?
Definitely. It all started with my first partner. The two of us kind of went off on the journey and said, I was buying a lot of data leads. He was brokering a lot of data leads. And we said, hey, let's build a website. Let's generate Medicare and health insurance leads. But we're not developers. We have no technical experience. And we didn't have money to build it out and make it what it needed to be at the time. So we went to Duda, which is just like Wix or Squarespace, and we built a basic website. We had to use multiple third-party softwares to facilitate the lead delivery. And there was many sleepless nights. For the first year or two, it was really the two of us just trying to make Medicare and health insurance work. And it was about 18 months before it started to work.
Okay. And what was the real kind of things, like if you look back on that period, what was the things that drew the most energy in terms of like, this is not working, or like where was the darkest point of that tunnel?
So we always had a lot of energy in that. We were up at dawn and working till dusk trying to make it work. But the real challenge was the technology. It was the dev. It's not something you can just sit down and learn in an afternoon, right? So the fact that we couldn't crack that part, that's I think what we were missing. And then about a year and a half into our business, we turned our company into a bit of a joint venture with a technology company, inherited a team of developers, brought our business development and sales skills, and kind of created the perfect cocktail. We also originally were focused on things like health insurance and Medicare, super competitive industries, right? Super efficient markets with tiny margins. So we found other verticals, and we found other campaigns. Like, we're very large in auto accident in the States. We're very large in workers' compensation. We have an amazing campaign in Florida, Texas, and Louisiana, which is storm damage, where we help victims of the hurricane whose insurance company didn't compensate them. So we've tried to get a little more niche, and with that, seen a lot of success.
Well, I know Simon at Data Bowl is always talking about dialing down on niches and things like that. Was that the point that things started to, the light started to emerge at the end of the tunnel? Did you find one campaign and then build on that and then start realizing that you are actually now in a niche? Or how did that switch from the kind of grind to the I wouldn't say glide now, but how did that turn? So
we were pushing really hard, and we were getting results, then they were coming back. It was very up and down. And then we dove into legal, which is a big vertical for us. And that's really where we found our stride. And that's even today our biggest vertical and our biggest focus. We're constantly trying to expand and moving into auto insurance as well as final expense, et cetera. But really when we got into the legal vertical and when we got together with the whole team, the energy that we have together, what we all put into it, that was the change.
And what does business look like now? That was when it first started. Where are you guys now?
Yeah, so that was, I would say, when we got together about 18 months ago. At that time, we had one employee. It was my partner and I, one employee, and we inherited a couple from the other side. And now today we're 25 full-time employees and growing every month and aggressively not sleeping if we can't beat the month before.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned that you've been using Everflow from quite an early stage.
From the beginning.
And you were sort of proudly telling me that, like, you know, revenue is always kind of increasing. And how would you say, like, you know, without this being too much of a kind of love-in for Everflow, like, how much does Everflow contribute to sort of like what you're doing day to day?
So I'll never forget the first time I opened Everflow. And before I was in this business,
Beautiful.
Cue the cello. I remember looking at it, and I don't come from a technical background, you know, whatsoever originally. And I remember looking at it and thinking, what's going on in here? Like, I couldn't figure out where to start. I couldn't figure out what to do because it's so robust. And with that, as time went on, I couldn't believe the functionality and how much I can actually do. And it's a huge part of our business today. You know, even when you talk about things like bringing on a publisher, the whole process used to have many steps. All we do now is send an Everflow invite, select the offers they're approved for. Our contracts are in Everflow. It's a one-stop shop. So people don't even actually need to call. They can just sign up on Everflow.
Yeah. And because of the good work that Ed has been doing with partnerships, I think you are integrated with like DocuSign.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't even look at it. It's all set up. Partner comes in, we give them visibility, and that's that.
So the automation, like we all know in this room, hopefully that Everflow is pretty good at that. Like you can automate a lot of these low-value tasks and spend your time doing more fun stuff that machines can't do, right? Like spending your Sunday drinking rosé on a roof terrace in Toronto. But like, where else like does the reporting side? Do you dig into that? Do you run different events, as we call them, within Everflow? Different stages of different offers?
Too many.
Okay, cool.
Definitely. I think that a huge benefit of Everflow is the sub-ID reporting, the variance reports, being able to quickly locate what you're looking for and provide feedback, whether it's a publisher or an advertiser, right? We like to really pride ourselves on optimization, whether it's the publisher side or the advertiser side. So we're going to look at sub-IDs almost every day. You know, and in Everflow you can have 6 of them, you know, in terms of how many. And we absolutely track events.
Because, like for you, you were saying earlier that like quality is a kind of hallmark of your
Definitely.
business. And like I'm sure everyone in the room knows that, you know, you don't chop down the tree, you prune the branches when it comes to quality from affiliates, right? So are you using that regularly in terms of like drilling in and then optimizing these sub-IDs to get better quality? And what steps do you take with those publishers? I mean, do you provide them like feedback? Or is it media buying that you're doing this?
So, good question. So we're very strict. Most publishers that we start with either come through a referral or we know who they are. And if we don't, we vet them pretty greatly. Once we get them the details, we get them the links, we get them everything that Everflow provides us helps us get them onboarded, and the whole vetting process is much quicker.
Yeah, yeah. And so with that, like how does the rest of your kind of tech stack look like? I mean, we've talked a lot about integrations and obviously how Everflow, we try and play within an ecosystem with less friction as possible. What other sort of component parts make up your business? So
of course there's many component parts like CRMs, email programs, etc. But really the bricks of the house, I would say, are Everflow, number one. We use Retriever for call tracking, and we use Lead Prosper for lead delivery.
Yeah.
Between those 3, we're covered.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys did all 3 of those things.
Well, Jonathan, I don't know. Well, I think as we were saying earlier, like we leave like the best of breed. Even though we're a software business, we lead like the best of breed. You know, like Lead Prosper, they're great guys.
Definitely.
They do the lead manage, you know, LMS. They do that, and we won't touch that. You know, you mentioned 25 staff now, you say? And are they remote, or what is the sort of staff footprint look
They're
like?
remote. We really grew in COVID, and my partner lives in California. I grew up here and lived here. So there was no office. We still don't have an office. We have little hubs. So we have, for example, 4 guys in New York. So we have a little hub for them. But for the most part, we're all remote.
Okay. And you mentioned you got some quite interesting things about the whole staff thing. How did like, I'm sure that everyone here, you know, well, we all work remote as Everflow, and I don't know whether our clients are mainly remote. But how is managing a team when they are remote? And they are watching here via the live stream, so we do need to be careful.
Honestly, great question. And as we've grown, it's been a challenge, right? To figure out what to do, how to manage it, how to hold people accountable, and how to hit targets. What we did originally is we tried to have Zoom calls, like all throughout the day, where we work together, but it didn't work. People are talking over each other, and it just wasn't viable. So most recently, just about 3 weeks ago, we've built sort of like an office in the metaverse. So it's a digital environment. It's, if anyone here has ever played Habbo Hotel or another kind of video game like that, it really looks like that. It's called Gather. My brother actually told me about it. We've got the whole company in there. We log in. Everybody's got avatars. Everyone's walking around. It's like a real office. I can walk up to you and your camera turns on, your mic turns on. We have meeting rooms when everyone's in the same room. Everybody's cameras and mics are on. And we just have a super high energy environment. Even though we're remote, it's like we're in this little digital office.
And what level do you think that's like? Because, you know, you've got obviously email, chat, and then you've got like maybe phone calls in terms of creating relationships with people.
Right.
Zoom call and a Skype call is another level, and then meeting people face to face is kind of the best, right?
Right.
How close is it to meeting face to face when you're in that kind of metaverse environment?
It's honestly better than a Zoom call because, like, let's say you have a meeting. I could send you an invite to my metaverse office, and you will create a character and land in there and meet the team and come into the boardroom. And it's so new, and it's so cutting edge, and it's a great way to control everyone remotely and be on top of things. But it's fun. Like, it's a lot of fun. We have a go-kart racetrack in there. You know, like we have a meeting once a month for an hour, just a social meeting with the whole team. It's all like characters running around driving go-karts. It's quite different.
Yeah. And so what kind of advice would you give to people that are either in a similar sector or looking to start up a business with some of these themes that we've mentioned, you know, the modular aspect of software as a service, managing remote staff? These are things that are kind of echoed across many sort of companies. What sort of advice would you give any sort of budding entrepreneur of starting their own business, either in your field or just in a digital realm generally?
The main thing that I would say is to do it right from the first time. You know, we couldn't do it right. We tried. We built websites on Wix and Duda and, you know, tried to create national brands. And we were really good at the business development side, but we couldn't get to where we needed to because probably we were trying to cut corners. We were trying to do things easier. We were trying to be efficient. But I would say build the property, originate the data, create everything you're selling, at least in the beginning. When you're further down the line, you can start to broker with trusted partners and strict compliance for sure. But that's when you run into trouble, right? Because if you're originating it, you know where it began, you know where it ended, you control the offer, go out and get the buyers for the data, go out and get the sources for the data, build the property, and do it right.
Yeah. Because affiliate, you know, everyone can be sort of sketchy about sometimes the term affiliate, right?
Definitely.
How has using Everflow enabled you, not only from a sort of workflow perspective, but how has using Everflow enabled you to work with more affiliates and then trust those affiliates more? I guess that's a kind of leading question because it really comes down to the reporting, right? But would you say that that's a kind of, you know, a central part of being able to identify fraud quickly and this kind of stuff? Like, for anyone kind of approaching the whole affiliate space, what's been your experience there that you can share?
In terms of fraud?
In terms of either fraud or, you know, like trusted sources, you said trusted in quality. You've got a new affiliate that's come on board. You've maybe met someone at a show. You don't know anything about like the traffic. What kind of hallmarks do you look for when someone goes live with you as a publisher?
Great question. So when someone goes live with us as a publisher, we will never allow them, even if they're a well-known company, to send directly to our clients. We'll send all the data to a kind of control space, kind of like a safe space where we can review it, we can scrub it, we can make sure it's in line. We'll also run the data through things like IPQS and other kind of data analysis tools. Once we get comfortable and we know the quality's there, we know the correct data is being delivered, we'll open the gates for them. But in the beginning, we keep a tight leash. We have a 24-hour operations team also that's monitoring the case descriptions, monitoring the data as it comes in. And if anything funny is coming up at any time, we're really quick to get on it.
Yeah, cool. And how do you see like the future of like your business, the industry that you're in, growing? You know?
I think compliance is going to continue to be at the forefront and to be important, and quality. And for us, we plan on expanding in every vertical we can. I think there will be less brokers. There will be less middlemen. I think that's why I really talk about origination and how important it is. I think that's being flushed out, and that's really where I see things going.
Cool. And we didn't talk about this in the warm-up, but what's the funniest thing that's happened at a staff party?
A digital one or one in person?
One in person, where someone's done something that's kind of, been rather unusual.
Well, well, we have really funny karaoke nights.
Okay. Well, Steve Kim, our lawyer, is the is the king of karaoke, so I'm sure that he can regale us.
Oh no,
soon.
I've got it. I've actually got the funniest thing. You didn't prep me on that one.
I did not.
So I'm funny enough. I do really good accents. Like I can do funny accents. So my partner likes to mess with people sometimes, like especially when it's people we know. So one time we had a call with a new publisher partner, and he told them that we have a collection department in Russia that is very serious, and had me speak in a thick accent the whole time. Freaked the guy out. We still haven't told him. We've been working with him for 8 months, and he still has no idea.
Perfect. Well, we're going to keep this one short and sweet because it's the end of the day. But I guess, does anyone have any follow-up questions? And more questions, the better at this stage. Simon at Data Bowl, come on, you must have a question.
I just wanted to hear some accents. So.
You want to hear some accents?
Liverpudlian accent.
Which accent?
Liverpudlian. Someone from like UK.
I can't believe this is what this is turning into.
We'll move on from Simon. Are there any other
I'll show
questions?
you after.
Can you do the British accent?
The British?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I could try, but the only phrase I know with the accent is, "The rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain."
That deserves a round of applause, surely. No other questions? Steve? Is it going to be a Celine Dion number?
It's so rare that I hear a company lead with compliance in terms of building out the business and doing things right and baking it in at the start. Could you maybe just provide a little bit more color, because that's really interesting to me, but it's just so unusual to hear. Was that regarding a compliance-intensive vertical like legal, or? But just I think that's a very inspirational point.
Certainly.
And any color would be appreciated.
Definitely. Thanks, Steve. So when I say compliance, I mean firstly having the right things with your data, like trusted form, like Journaya, having even more than that. We have different playback that we have in terms of the leads, but also just being really strict with who you let run. There could be a lot of allure when someone tells you they could send you 100,000 visitors in 2 hours, but it's probably not a good idea, right? So just being very mindful of the whole landscape, whether it's traffic or a phone call. And also, I've had situations that have led me here with very trusted and reputable companies where everything's compliant, all the agreements are signed, all the pieces are there, and then you have an issue and nobody could give you an answer. Like, for example, we sell a lot of phone calls, and we had someone complain that they never gave their consent. And at the time, we were buying this data from a call center. We were trying to figure out how to get there. They were supposed to provide us trusted form, audio playback, opt-in, etc. They didn't have anything. And this is a reputable, big organization that most of you would know. Right? So by keeping it all in-house, the phone calls we generate today are all off data off our own websites, all from our call center. We have a good finger on the pulse that way.
What was the name of this big company that was on it?
Go for it.
So before, this is Tony from Everflow again. Before you went to Everflow, was there much of a decision process as to who to go with? What steered you to Everflow?
I'll be honest with you. A friend of mine who works at Retriever steered me to Everflow. We were looking to start generating our own data, generating our own leads, and we needed something like this. And once we looked at it, once we reviewed everything, I think we did a demo with Cake or something. But,
Condolences.
But they didn't stand a chance.
Not good.
They didn't stand a chance. We went right to you guys, and we've been with you since day one.
Awesome. Well, I guess unless there's any other questions. Go for it, Chris.
I do want the microphone for the people online. Twister Karaoke, open until 5 a.m. It's in Koreatown.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. That wasn't really a question. It was not. It was a statement.
You're on.
There. Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Doug.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks very much.